There's a lot of conversation about WWE 2K24's DLC. Who's gonna be in the DLC? Who's not? What's random guesses and all that? So today we are giving you our WWE 2K24 DLC final predictions. We're gonna go through a lot of these names that we really think have a good shot of being in the next game. And we're gonna kick it off with the man who I assume he is DLC. And he's not in the base, like if he's just not in the game, the hell. We're talking about CM Punk. He returned in Survivor Series. He's been on Monday Night Raw. He's going to Royal Rumble. He says he's gonna win the Rumble and he's gonna main event WrestleMania, and I can't wait to see it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm too excited. And I think CM Punk will in fact be DLC. I don't think he'll be in the base game. I said this in previous videos. If you have watched those, and if you haven't, then go check out other things on the channel. You can subscribe to the channel, support us here. That would be great because we're going to go to 100,000 subscribers this year, and that's fun for reasons. So I think CM Punk probably is going to be DLC. I don't think he's base game because if you're 2K, why would you give him away for free? They had just added him into WWE Supercard. So because he's in Supercard already, that is typically a good or decent indication of what we might see when it comes to 2K, WWE 2K, on the video game side. There's a little correlation there with 2K and who's under Legends deals and all of that. And CM Punk, I see him as a headlining main event DLC character, and they would put him in, if it were me, at the end of the DLC. Do I want him in as the base character? Absolutely. We should all get CM Punk day one if we are a fan of Mr. Punk. And if you're not a fan of Punk, then you get him day one and then you beat the crap out of him. I think it would be absolutely crazy if 2K was doing everything they can to make sure that he is in there. Now, would we see more than just CM Punk, the one new version, current version of CM Punk in 2K24? My prediction is we might get an alt. That's my just throwing it out there prediction. I think we might, by the end of 2024, get an updated alt version of CM Punk. And I don't mean my faction, but I do suspect that my faction will play a role in the attires and the models we want. Anyways, for CM Punk, I think that there's a very good chance that 2K will do the same thing they did with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny was a pre-order bonus for 23, and then around, what was it, October, they gave us the LWO, the updated Backlash version of Bad Bunny, and they sold him as individual DLC for a whopping price tag. I think it was like $13 to $15 Canadian. It was a lot of Tim Hortons coffee, if I tell you that much. And I think that they could end up doing the exact same thing for Punk, for a updated version of Punk. Whether it's going to be a retro look, a retro attire, something like his Best in the World look in 2011, or they give us an alt attire with a different shirt and a different look, because Punk tends to change his look every like month, it feels like. And if they do that, I can also see 2K then giving us that updated cover art for the game and put CM Punk as the cover star. The rumor right now, according to Boozer Wrestling and BWE Online, is that Cody Rhodes is going to be the cover star. That's the rumor right now. And there's a pretty good chance that that will come true. Cody's a giant deal. He almost won WrestleMania last year in the main event. He might finish the story, unless The Rock has anything to do with it. So I could see different versions of Cody as the cover, and then I could see them around like October, November, when, you know, the sales are coming to an end, the game is coming to an end, and they want to spike things when the game is already on sale. You throw CM Punk as an alt cover, you do the Bad Bunny version, and then dopes like me are gonna spend $10 to get a different shirt for CM Punk. Other DLC names, AOP. I'm throwing them on the list. I know that AOP just returned, just came back to TV with Paul Ellering, and you got Karrion Kross in there. I'm a big fan of Karrion Kross, by the way. I love this faction, number one. I think this is great. I don't think we see the faction model, like the whole setup, the trios, all of that. I don't think we get that in 24. It's way too late, it's way too far gone. That'd be a guess for 25 if they're still a faction. But for AOP, I'm gonna guess that they're gonna be DLC. They have been with WWE under contract for almost a year now. They haven't been televised. They've just been in the Performance Center. But because they returned to TV on SmackDown with like the same look as they had before, it's the same gimmick, it's still AOP, I really think that 2K could turn around and say, all right, here's AOP with Paul Ellering, and they're going to be part of one of the DLC packs. It's a little far-fetched, but that's the nature of predictions, isn't it? I do hope that they're going to be in there. We could use the entrance motions that we've had in the games in the years past, and again, their attires and look hasn't changed like at all. So, rescan their faces and dump him in there. For the love of God, don't make it my faction. Other names, other possibilities for DLC. Once again, a little far-fetched. And later in the video, I'm gonna talk about some like what ifs, so stay tuned for that, because we got some not outlandish what ifs scenarios of who could be in the game, but it's important to recognize and to talk about it. But Jade Cargill. Okay, Jade has made just sporadic appearances. We might get her official debut at the Royal Rumble. They could do Jade as a pre-order bonus, but I have other thoughts on the pre-order bonus too. But with Jade, she's been training at the Performance Center a lot. They've captured some of it, they posted some of it, but we haven't seen an official entrance. We don't know her moveset. We don't know what her entrance motion would be like. But because WWE is investing so much and marketing so much behind Jade since she came over, they are treating her like a big deal, a big star. Triple H has even commented that they're not just throwing Jade Cargill out there until they feel like she is completely ready, like under the WWE system ready. You don't throw her out there. I think she finally makes her debut at the Royal Rumble. Maybe we see something with her and Bianca Belair taking on Damage Control, I don't know, or just a straight up one-on-one match for Jade at Mania. Something for her debut, but I think that you would want her definitely in there as like a late DLC option. Imagine a pack if you got like CM Punk and you got some tag teams and you throw in Jade Cargill in there too. Ooh, it would be looking good, but it's probably wrong. Other names that have been with WWE now for at least a year or have come back and legends and all that stuff, but like for current kind of talent, Dragon Lee is the next one. Dragon Lee has made a big impact. He came from NXT and then they shot him over to SmackDown. And he's a big deal, and Dragon Lee has been a lot of fun to watch. He could eventually become like the next giant luchador like a Rey Mysterio, and they're putting more effort, time, money behind Dragon Lee, and they're featuring him a lot. So I think that Dragon Lee will be in 2K24, but I see 2K turning and saying we're gonna make him part of the DLC packs. So I think Dragon Lee is gonna be in there. My only unfortunate hiccup with all this is that I think Dragon Lee will probably have an attire that he wore from his days in NXT and nothing that is going to be super up to date, but we'll see. It's not a big deal. We can change the colors of the mask and the trunks. It's really okay. The other name, somebody that returned to WWE, was under contract for a while and then they didn't do anything with him until recently, and now I just don't even know anymore. Carlito. I think a lot of fans are happy that Carlito is back. I'm glad Carlito's back with WWE. I want to see him back proper in the game. Put him under one of those legends. He'd be perfect for a DLC. It makes all the sense in the world, and he's been back long enough where they would totally add him in. But it's just, is he going to be with the LWO stable, or is he just going to be as a solo star? You guys let me know. But Carlito, I predict, is going to be in there as DLC. Another one that I have on my list that has like been with WWE on and off, and we've seen some of his stuff in 2K23, and he hasn't been in there officially. And I'm talking about Pat McAfee. I feel Pat McAfee could be DLC for 24. He's had the WrestleMania matches. He's had a long time with WWE under commentary. He's done a lot of different spots with WWE. He showed up with The Rock most recently. So there is such a good working relationship of Pat with WWE. Why not put him in there and put him as like a headlining DLC? He kind of fills the role of like that celebrity spot when they do the DLCs. And we've had that almost every single year where they want to be able to spice it up and give you a lot of superstars, legends, NXT, current talent, and then they want to mix it up with somebody who is kind of like a celebrity that could wrestle. Pat McAfee kind of fills that void in my opinion. So I predict Pat will be with WWE in 2K24. Now, returning names, again, that have come and gone, and they're back again. This one could be in the game, just like in the base game, and I hope she makes it in, but it's gonna be Kairi Sane. And why I feel like they would do Kairi Sane as DLC is because she came back with the refreshed gimmick. Same name, but she's not the pirate. She's not pirating anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. She's not thieving the 7 seas, but she's got an updated look, updated gimmick, and she's with Damage Control. So what would be fun is that if they brought her in as DLC, they update that Damage Control entrance, that faction entrance. One could hope too, by the way, that we would get 4-person faction entrances that work, not the trios. They finally update to 4. Probably not, but you never know. Kairi Sane, I think, is going to be in the game one way or another, but a DLC, she made it back in time early enough in development where they could slot her in there. Now, if it's too late for DLC, definitely just slap her into the main roster. Don't slap her, but put her in the game. And the next one on the female side, again, is going to be Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea Green, a fellow Canuck. And I want Chelsea Green to win Money in the Bank because 1, I think she's fantastic, 2, she's entertaining, and 3, I might be going to Money in the Bank and I'd like to see it anyway. So I think Chelsea Green, though, because she's obviously been with WWE long enough now, she made her return debut at the Royal Rumble. It's been long enough, they've captured her. I think she's a shoo-in for the game, but also DLC. I know that a lot of names here we're all just like, well, just put them into the base game, like Chelsea Green should already be there 100%, but I'm just looking at it from 2K's side where they can market stuff and they got to fill those roster slots, and you don't want to also overdo it with just NXT names. You got to spice it up a little bit. You need a balance, you need men and women in there. So Chelsea Green is added to the list for DLC. Now on the Legends side, we've covered a lot of the potential legends as well, so I'm not going to go into crazy detail here, but to name off some of them that I think will likely be in the game, likely as DLC, because they've either signed recent Legends deals with WWE, they have announced it themselves, and they have also appeared in WWE Supercard very recently. And the names we're thinking about are going to be 1, the Dudley Boys, who have announced that they have a Legends deal with WWE. Love to see them back in there. Want to be able to do a 3D on the 1D and be able to get that done. I love having the Dudley Boys, and I think it's time that we got them back. Another Attitude Era team, again, that has signed a Legends deal with WWE. They've talked about merchandise and the possibility of video games, is going to be the Headbangers. You may not be familiar with Headbangers because you're not old like me, but I love having the Headbangers in there to fill out my Attitude Era roster. Definitely need that. Sidebar for a second because it just popped in my head. You know what we need from 2K, and it drives me nuts every year? 3 faces of Foley. Why do we keep getting just Cactus Jack in the game? I'm sick of it. I love guys like What's the Status who give us Mankind and then the Dude Love and all of the other options, but just put Mick Foley. Like, give me all the Mankind, Mick Foleys, all the Foleys. Put them all in there. I'm tired of 2K just give me one. It makes no sense. Don't you dare put him as DLC either. But other names that could be in there too from the Extreme side, Sandman. Seems like he has a Legends deal with WWE. He's been in Supercard. Sandman has been talked about quite a bit. Be cool if that he was, I don't know, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the ECW side of things. Paul Heyman inducts him, something cool like that. But you could add Sandman in there too, again, to round out that Extreme side of the roster in the DLC. Shamrock's another name that we talked about. Shamrock has signed with WWE as a Legends deal, got that merchandise going on. Again, Ken Shamrock, wonderful legend, hasn't been in the WWE Hall of Fame. Figure he'd be an excellent name to put in there, and I think he'd be wonderful to have back in the 2K games. And another name that should be in there, Jushin Thunder Liger. It was heavily speculated and rumored that for 2K22, we were gonna get Rey Mysterio with the showcase like we did with a Liger match, and we didn't. Liger went into the Hall of Fame for 2020, so it's way past due to have him in there, be a great headlining act, and one of those international legends you really want to see. And speaking of legends, the other ones that we should be seeing in the game, almost like a given, can't say that for sure, but I think Iron Sheik is going to be in the game. Sadly passed away, celebrated by WWE. Perfect time to put him back in the game. Get him in there as DLC. Other names that we have talked about in the past though, Terry Funk being another one that has unfortunately passed away, but would be wonderful to see in a DLC pack, especially under like an ECW, an Extreme side pack. Additional legends, and one interesting one, Mr. Perfect, I think totally needs to come back. We've had amazing community creations of Mr. Perfect. His motion is in there. Like, it's all basically perfect. Haha, that was an accident. But anyways, Mr. Perfect should be in there as DLC. I would love to see it. And another name that has been in there as a WWE legend, we're talking to the Lex Express. Lex Luger actually showed up on WWE's The Bump. So he's got a good, decent working relationship with them. I would kind of suspect that Luger is going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame very soon, potentially even for 2024. But I think Lex, you need to have in there proper again in the game. It's been on and off over the years, but Lex Luger is another name I'd love to see. And additional names under the Legends side, you can chalk him up as a legend, but the great Khali. Khali did a one-off appearance with India, with WWE. Possible that they would put him back in the game. I know there's a lot of Khali fans out there, but you could toss Khali back in there and put him under as a DLC. The DLC list is getting wild now with all these names, by the way. It ain't all gonna happen, but we could cherry pick a few, right? I also think Bam Bam Bigelow is gonna be in there as he's been part with WWE Supercard. Brian Pillman should also be in the game because I do believe that under NXT, we're gonna talk NXT in just a second. I think that you got Lexus King, Brian Pillman Jr. I totally see him being part of DLC this year, and you could put them in as like a little tag team thing, but just put them in side by side in a legacy pack of some sort. Pillman and Pillman Jr. And another name to round out the Legends side, William Regal. Now, Regal has been back with WWE since he left AEW. He's working behind the scenes in the office, but he hasn't been able to go on screen, with reports that like he had to wait until January of 2024 until he could officially come back to television. I think that because Regal has been back for over a year, he's got that deal with WWE, you put William Regal back in the game. You could just put him in proper, but it'd be cool to see him go in there. And again, you could put him in there with Charlie Dempsey, who's also going to be one of our NXT names, but you put them in there under like that legacy pack. You got the Pillmans, you got the Regals, you put them all in there together, but William Regal, love to see him back in the game. Okay, let's talk about NXT. We've been talking a little bit about that, like Lexis King, Charlie Dempsey. I think those two names should be in as DLC. And other ones that probably should make the cut as well, especially on the women's side. Thea Hale for Chase U. We got Andre Chase last year, but we didn't get the rest of them for Chase U. Thea Hale should totally be in this year. Ava Raine is another name. It's The Rock's daughter. She's been on TV a lot. My worry with Ava Raine going into NXT's DLC pack for 24 is that her character is out of date, because they're going to do the schism thing, aren't they? Because it's not going to be right. Lola Vice is another name that I'd love to see added in as an NXT star for the DLC, and Lyra Valkyria should be in there as she's been NXT Women's Champion. So a lot of great names. There's so much more for NXT that should probably be in there, but it's hard where they have to cherry pick some big names, up and coming names for NXT. And again, you don't want to overdo it with NXT names. One of the downsides and one of the things I had a problem with for 2K23's DLC is that it felt off balance. I felt like there was way too much NXT in there, and I wanted to mix it up more with Legends. But I understand they got to balance it with, we got to feature some stars. WWE would obviously want them to promote certain talent and get them in the video game too. And do they also want to consider who they want to save for 24? Now remember, at the beginning of this video, if you made it this far, thank you so much, and drop a like on this, and don't forget, comment below your predictions for all your DLC and everything. I'm so excited. We're less than 3 months away from 2K24, but we talked at the beginning of like what could be like a pre-order bonus. Now for me, where I'm sitting, 2K recently anyways likes to do the celebrity thing. They brought in Bad Bunny. You've had Terminator in the past. You got a lot of different celebrities. The 2K22 did the Undertaker pre-order. He is not a celebrity unless it's just you're talking about his one-man show. He's doing it in a prison, I think, now. That's his next one. It's getting wild with Undertaker at this age. But I think that they're gonna follow kind of the same trend with 24. You want the pre-order bonus to be fun. You want it to be something that fans feel like they're getting a little bit of value out of. And you don't want to put it with a normal superstar, because fans might feel like, oh, that's not great that they're putting this person behind a pre-order bonus. So you kind of want somebody where fans might want to get the game early and pre-order it to get this person, and then others can feel like they're not missing out on too much. So my prediction is Snoop Dogg is the pre-order bonus. I think you give a Snoop from his WrestleMania gear. He's shown up multiple times with WWE. It's a huge name and a huge face to slap on the box, be able to say this is your pre-order star. You could give us those My Faction cards that they love to do, and it would be like a Snoop Dogg manager card or something, the Emerald Ruby cards, whatever the hell it is. And then you could give us the Snoop Dogg WWE Championship also in there. So you're adding a little bit more value by saying, here's Snoop, here's the custom championship, as well as the My Faction gimmicks that they add in there. Now, what about the what ifs, the maybes, the really outlandish ones that they might make it to 2K24 if they show up? Sounds like Vince Russo, doesn't it? Bro, it's wrestling. Anyways, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné is all over the news any given day of the week. Teasing WWE returns, teasing AEW, more talk of WWE fallout, and that ain't happening. Then talks of AEW, and then that's not happening the next day. Wonderful at marketing her stuff. I think that there's a good shot Sasha Banks returns to WWE. The timing is right. You get her back there. She shows up at the Royal Rumble, and then all we need is the face scan because her motion is still in the game. Her music is still there. Like, we can get all things Sasha Banks as long as they don't change up the Tron and the music on her when she returns, if she returns. If Sasha Banks returns, a lot of these names are banking on the fact that we got a couple of weeks till the Royal Rumble for this to all work out in Matt's little world. Sasha Banks returns to the Rumble, then I think she could still make it into the game. Would they just make it happen really quick and slap her in there? Maybe. But because things like the entrance motion they wouldn't have to capture, the Trons, the music. They don't have to get all that stuff. Just a proper fresh new scan and keep the moveset and everything the same. To me, that seems like not a lot of work if she does show up. I literally need to grab her backstage if she signs and shows up and just say, hey, Sasha, I don't know how these things work, but you say, hey, Sasha, get Miss Monet, please enter the booth of cameras. And they do 50,000 shots of her and she's out in 10 minutes. That's my dumb head assuming that's how that process works. Sasha Banks is one of my what ifs. But what about her tag team partner, the lovely Trinity, Naomi? Naomi's contract and her time with TNA is up. And the reports right now are that Naomi is on her way back to WWE. One, love to see it. Love to get her in there. Wish this was like a year ago so that she would be like in the Bloodline faction, but it'd be kind of cool if she was like, showed up in the Bloodline post Rumble and WrestleMania. That'd be kind of cool. But if Naomi does show up at the Royal Rumble, very much like Sasha Banks, you don't have to do too much. Get an updated scan and everything else should be done. If she's still got the glow gimmick, wonderful. But we need Naomi in that game if she does return in time at the Royal Rumble. Another TNA star, legend, someone that could be in the Hall of Fame or go into the Hall of Fame, and has teased that they would only return if they're gonna win the Royal Rumble, but you never know. Mickie James. Mickie James did do a one-off shot at the Royal Rumble previously as Impact Women's Champion. Really cool to see that they did that. And I would love it if Mickie James did return as like part of a Legends deal and got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. She could just enter the Royal Rumble, have a great match and a great showing, maybe get into a program on Raw or SmackDown for a little bit, but focus on Mickie James getting into the Hall of Fame, add her into 2K24. I'd love to see it. Two more names on the list, and I'm gonna go with this one first and save another one for last. Andrade. Andrade has had a wild time with AEW, hasn't he? And he's done. He's done with AEW. And again, reports and rumors are that Andrade is heading back to WWE, and it would make all the sense in the world because his wife is there. Unfortunately, she's very injured, but Andrade, I totally see coming back to WWE. I felt like he never got a real fair shake in WWE. It didn't click. It didn't work right, and then pandemic hit, and everything went south there. I don't know what you do with Mr. Cien Almas, but Titantrons, motions, gimmicks, new face scan, it's all done. It's all ready to go. Just give us an updated attire and look and add him in as part of the DLC. Andrade back in the game, kind of a long shot for these what ifs, obviously, because it's just like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna scan 10 people at the last second and then slap them in a video game? I think it's that they're a little far-fetched. The last name we have though on the list that is a little far-fetched, but it's a what if. What if AJ Lee returns to WWE at the Royal Rumble? CM Punk has name dropped her. We've had shots of AJ Lee on like Instagram or whatever, posting that she's like wearing her boots and her gear. There's obviously a lot of fans of AJ Lee out there. Great name to bring back to WWE in general. Just like to see her back on TV to see how she would mix it up with the women's division. And if you can get her for the Royal Rumble, we just get that whole updated look and scan. You put her in a pack with CM Punk. Probably half of these would not happen, would they? But one can dream. And what are your predictions for 2K24's DLC, guys? Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoy content like this. I will see you on the next one. Bye.